All right. Well, welcome to the CRE Education Podcast, or Creducation if you want to have a mouthful. Today, Taylor and I have Jeremy Malone here with the Oppenheimer Companies Group. What's the proper title?
Oppenheimer Development is
Oppenheimer
our
Development.
division of Oppenheimer Companies, which is a little bit bigger umbrella with a lot of food service business, but we're a separate entity of it
Yeah,
and focus on commercial real estate.
and quite well at that. So,
Some days.
yeah. First of all, thank you for coming here. And
Thanks for having us.
are you kind of from the Boise Valley?
Born and raised in Boise, and moved away for a very short period when I was in my youth, and came back in fifth grade, and haven't found somewhere else I'd rather live.
Yeah.
So
Which high school did you go to?
I was lucky enough to go to Capitol High.
Yeah. Oh, the cool kids.
The cool
That's what I always
kids.
thought.
That's what we like to think, anyhow. Yeah, if you went to school there, you think that.
Yeah. We always went to Boise High, and they were like they kind of we played basketball there, and the gym was really outdated, and the locker rooms were so outdated, and they always said, like, we wish we went to Capitol. They have the nicest gym over there. I
They
mean,
did too.
guess that was in the 90s, so
Yeah.
not a lot's come. But so grew up around here,
Grew up
and
here and finished at Capitol and went to Boise State before it was cool.
yeah.
Right.
Did they still have a blue turf?
They got the blue turf just a few years before I enrolled there. So remember going to the first game and getting my little swatch of the blue turf. And,
Oh, that's cool.
still have that packed away somewhere, and
good.
so that's kind of fun. Went to Boise State, and again, traveled, a fair amount around the country, and just still haven't found a place I'd rather live.
Yeah, that's amazing. What'd you study while you were at Boise State?
Business administration. After kind of doing a little history stint, because I thought history is fun and exciting to me. I love U.S. history, but then I thought, oh, I'm going to be a horrible teacher someday, and I don't know what else to do with this. So, and I had an econ course where Mr. Chuck Scoro was my professor, and
Okay.
Chuck said it was kind of the end of the freshman year. And I joke a lot that college professors are a little naive, right? Because they give you the entire year or semester up front, right? This is a syllabus that
Yeah.
tells me when I have to attend or when I don't have to, more importantly.
Yeah.
And being a lazy 19-year-old kid, right? Or as every freshman male,
Right.
I'm just like, wow, these guys are, you're putting a lot of trust in
The
us.
whole game plan.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And so it was a weird day because I went to class because it was a class before the final.
Mm-hmm.
It was one I was hoping to glean a little of insight for what's going to be on the final so I can pass with flying colors. And he didn't talk about the final at all. He went on this little 40-minute just rant about why are you here? What are you going to do with your life, your career? If you're in econ because you're going into business, get into business right away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Find a career and start today. Don't
Mhm.
wait till you get done. Go out there and make a difference in your
Wow.
community. And
It's a
so
great professor.
he was fantastic, right?
That's excellent.
Yeah, didn't give us an ounce of
No
knowledge
insight into the
knowledge
final
of it.
exam.
final. Yeah, exactly. But thankfully, I still passed. And I literally went home that day and I grabbed the newspaper and a red Sharpie, as you see on movies now. That's what we used to do, right?
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like scouring the paper looking for part-time jobs
How about
because
that?
I could, think, okay, well, I can go to school in the morning, maybe work in the afternoon. So I applied for, 2 jobs that were part-time, and one was with this company called Oppenheimer Companies, which I knew nothing about. And so I went in, got interviewed. Um, Unbeknownst to me, I have no references, right?
Mhm.
I'm a 19-year-old kid, and
Yeah.
the only thing I've ever done is mowed lawns.
Right.
Which I still was doing at that point. I didn't think that I've got a moderately successful lawn business. I
Yeah.
had 33 lawns that I did every week.
That's
I
awesome.
could do them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I had a 3-day work week,
Mhm.
4-day weekend. Teaching me everything about, you have to save for more equipment, right? And
Right.
all the things that you don't realize you're doing as a 19-year-old in business. And so here I'm listening to Mr. Scoro talk, and I'm like, I need to get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
I
wow.
have a business, but I need a job.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they somewhat begrudgingly hired me. I was their second choice, which our HR director said
Let
to
you
me
know, huh?
first day,
Plan B.
like, yeah, please don't mess this up.
Yeah, you're our second
you are
choice.
second choice. And I'm like, wow, welcome to this
Yeah.
great big company, right? And in downtown Boise, I know nothing about, and I'm going to be the administrative assistant. So I get there, answer phones during the lunch hour so the receptionist could go on break,
Mhm.
make copies. I got to spend about an hour a day with Arthur Oppenheimer, who was Skip and Doug's father, and that
Okay.
was very treasured time to
Wow.
glean some
Special.
of that knowledge and insight. And then I would have to clean the kitchen at the end of the day. And one of the reference checks that the HR director, she literally called my mom and said, okay, we're considering hiring Jeremy. Does he clean the kitchen, when he's done? And more importantly, does he wipe down the counters,
Wow.
right? And so my mom then calls me and says, hey, if you get this gig, whatever you do, do not forget to wipe down the counters, because I told Barbara that you always
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
And
that
I'm
was your
like,
thing.
wow, okay, thanks, yeah. So still today, it's one of my
That's
favorite
the
things
first
to go
reference
in.
I've ever heard of a mom being called, but I love it.
It was the only one I had,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
it's
because I didn't list
fantastic.
any of my lawn mowing people, because again, that wasn't a business. That's just what
Yeah.
I did to get money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How
How
naive,
about that?
right? Yeah.
But
Wow.
mom will help me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even, I think Barb even asked,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's so strange.
Yeah.
But it was,
Such a
So
small
good.
town, right? That
right?
your mom gets the phone call.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then has to just whip me into shape. And it's like, clean the counters.
Yeah.
Like done. Easy. Yeah.
Wipe them down.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of fast forward a few years, still going through school, trying to figure out what's going to be next. I thought banking was going to be of interest. And that was shortly after the big kind of the reduction in staff with banking, right? A lot of banks were overstaffed with a lot of VPs. That I think for securities term was vision.
Mhm.
So they kind of
Mhm.
let a lot of people go. And all of a sudden, banking didn't seem so fun because I didn't want to be a teller. I wanted to be a VP where you played golf every day, you went to all your kids' activities. Come to find out, the banking world caught on, and there was too many people doing that, not enough doing the work. So um, Skip said, "Well, kind of what's next?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Hey, we have an opening in our development side in property management. Would you consider that?" And I'm like, yeah, I got nowhere to go. Yeah,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Great.
Yeah, you tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the start of a career that I just celebrated my, I guess, 33rd anniversary with the company at the beginning of June.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, not
It's
bad
just
for.
rare. It's rare to find people that stick with a company that long now. I think I've read that in the millennial Gen Z kind of world, it's the average length of stay at a job right now is 3 years.
Yeah, it used to be
And
7,
so,
I think,
Mhm.
and now it's
yeah.
down to
Shortening.
yeah,
Well, thank you, TikTok. The attention level is just so low. Hey, new job, new job, new job.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
the
And started
opportunity.
from the very bottom.
Started at the
Right.
bottom, and so I literally could do most jobs in the company, right?
Mhm.
I knew how to
Seen
work
it
the
all.
phone system. I knew how to unjam the copier,
Mhm.
which is a critical task when you used to have to make copies, right?
In any company, you
Yeah,
need to know that.
yeah. And
So
so
what have you learned about yourself after staying with the company for 33 years?
either that I've got the Oppenheimers fooled, or they have me fooled. I'm not certain how it goes, right? It's been such a great ride, and I think if you kind of look at a career in just anyone's sole career, it's about what's next, right? How do you have opportunity to grow,
Right.
to contribute? And this is a place where, thankfully, I had a really kind of a non-defined but a pretty clear path as to what my progression could be.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to grow part of our business in the property management, which I spearheaded. Now I've been able to kind of grow the development in more recent years with a couple of projects that we've been working on and doing. And so it's kind of having that future to know that you can make a difference, make a change, still be challenged. Part of the thing I love every day is I wake up and I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning new,
Yeah.
um, just education wise, but also, I've been blessed to work for a company that is very philanthropic in our community, that are active and engaged, and they've encouraged me to be that as well. So that's been a nice add-on as well. Right?
Awesome way to
So
make a mark. Right.
yeah, on all levels, right? Corporately, hopefully, personally,
Mhm.
professionally, all the way across.
It's amazing.
So you've learned that you're loyal. You've learned that you have vision and you like to take on bigger projects. You've learned that you like to learn, and you've learned that overall, like staying with a company has been a good decision for you.
It's been great.
Yeah, because even the philanthropy, right? You didn't see that in the beginning. So regarding philanthropy, like what are some examples of the things that Oppenheimer Companies has given you the opportunity to participate in?
I've been on quite a few various boards over the years, and their ability to grant me the time to do
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
Everything from the Downtown Boise Association to BOMA to ULI,
Yeah.
as well as other personal items like First Tee of Idaho and um, yeah, a lot of Basque-oriented items. I'm pretty heavily involved in the Basque community,
Yeah.
so being on that board and teaching dancing for the younger kids
Oh,
for
neat.
a lot of years.
There's
And
a big
High
Basque
Aldi,
event coming up, right? Is that the High Aldi
High
event?
Aldi, yep, it
Okay.
happens every 5 years, and I've been
The dancing's a big part of it, actually. We went 2 years ago, and I had forgotten because I'd gone a lot when I was younger, but how much dancing there actually was. Usually, just go down there to get some paella and
yeah,
Right.
see what the crowd's doing. But there was a lot of dancing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
exciting too, and kids at a young age get started early. And
yeah, they start in Boise at 4 or 5 years
yeah,
old, and yeah, and you can go as long as you feel comfortable dancing. So
Hmm, sweet.
yeah.
So, a lot of our listeners are commercial real estate focused, and you were able to step into that opportunity in property management initially. What were some things that you did to start to learn more about commercial real estate?
I guess on the property management side first, it's um, like most jobs, right? Very few people call when they're happy. So
yeah,
Mhm.
you're dealing with problems every day, and people are calling with a complaint. And so then, how do you turn that into a positive, right? How can I, Dre will call and say, "Oh, it's too hot in here," because he's wearing a sports coat, a tie, buttoned up,
Right.
but then yet his assistant is in a sundress
Right.
who's outside, right? So you've got two people 8 feet apart that are
Right.
wearing
One's hot, one's
totally
cold.
different things
Yeah.
that are and so then how do we turn this into an opportunity, right? How to solve problems, how to fix their problem for their day. And so trying to really spin those negative calls into a
mm,
positive influence. Because as we know, right, most of us spend more time at the office than we do in our homes.
Hmm.
So how do we really try to make that experience positive, beneficial, and somewhere where they want to be?
Right.
And not every day is that way. A lot of times we'll get a call from somebody who's just gotten a beating from maybe one of their customers or clients or maybe their boss.
So they're not at their best
They're
either.
not their
Yeah.
best, and they're just looking for somebody to vent
Hmm.
out on too. And so we spend a lot of time with our team, really emphasizing, I guess, kind of the smile effect, right? And how do we make a difference in their community and in their internal work environment?
and you
And
learn a
so
lot really quickly doing property management about leasing, about different types of tenants, about who your users are, what kind of needs they have, right? Like,
right,
there's so much across the board that you're going to learn when doing property management
yep,
about contracts, about
yeah.
attorneys,
But it all
about
starts with
insurance.
people,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and so I think if you can start with the people and understand people and what makes them tick,
Hmm.
what's important to them, and sometimes it's just a simple showing up. Part of our strategy that we, as our property management evolved, and we grew from about 700,000 square feet of managed property to about 2 million today. Um, and it's all just about dealing with the people that are in there and showing up. And sometimes we get a lot of these keyboard warriors, or
Hmm.
there are a lot of various terms for them that are very quick to send an email complaining about something. And once you show up and you're face to face with them,
Right.
for some
It's good.
reason that tends to diminish the
It's disarming,
urgency
isn't
of
it? Yeah.
what they were complaining about or what the true problem really is. And so we've really focused our growth in property management to try to be more downtown focused.
Mm.
I joke because I'm lazy, so I don't want to go that far, so it's easy. But the reality is, it's so we can respond quickly.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when if we had properties in Nampa or Caldwell, which would be great because we love the 2C.
Hmm.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Proud to be
Um,
2C.
but the reality is, if somebody called for a light bulb being out, it'd be easy to say, "Oh, great, can our tech get there on Thursday?" Because that's his routine day. Where if somewhere's downtown, we send somebody the
We'll
same
be right
day,
over.
Right. Right.
right
In a
away.
couple
And
hours.
the
Yeah.
tenant doesn't necessarily care, right? It's not life or death with the light bulb, but if you can get it changed quickly, that reaction and kind of delighting the customer.
Hmm.
I know it's an overused term, but it's something we still talk a lot about is how do we deliver that kind of unreasonable hospitality
Wow.
that really make people feel like they're an important part of our company.
Right.
And
Which builds a relationship, which builds trust, which builds mutual understanding, and
yeah, we've had tenants with our company that have been tenants of one cap when it was built in '74
Oh
that
my
are still
goodness.
tenants today.
That's so hard to do,
Um,
especially on the property management side.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, and we get a lot of compliments about that, right? Is that there's other buildings, right? There's a litany of folks that Drey would love to move them into,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
we try to retain them, and we get to a point where when the renewal comes up, we like them to come back and say, "Oh, we're not even looking anywhere else because you take such good care of us, so we're just going to stay here," right? And
Right.
we
Really
know we
value the
may be able to
relationship.
save $2 a foot,
Right.
but the service may not be there. And that's some of our best compliments is when a client refers somebody to one of our projects because how well we take care of them.
Right.
Well, and I had the opportunity, like I told you, my good friend from college, Chris Kamori, I spent some time with him the other day, and he has kin, right? And he had talked about how the team had really helped him through COVID and kind of went above and beyond to help him to get into that space and stay in that space through a challenging time. And they're a really team focused, person focused business, and so the relationship to them was highly, highly valuable. And getting in there, you can tell it planted roots into their thought process about just not the building and the space, but the team that they're working with.
Yeah, yeah, and we pride ourselves on that, right? Everybody does. It's not anything. We don't do anything different than any other property management firm or even development firm, right? We're all focused on the same initiatives. Um, it's just taking the time to do it, taking the time to say thank you. We implemented a little unreasonable hospitality program through our concierge in our at Wells Fargo Center, our building, where he's talking to a lot of our tenants that they're coming in and coming out and hearing things, and a car wash coupon or a Dutch Bros pass, or one young man was going up to Sun Valley for the weekend to propose to his girlfriend. So we sent a bouquet of flowers and a bottle of wine to the room in
This
Sun
is
Valley.
great.
We
That's
figured out where they're
powerful.
staying.
Wow.
And it was just one of those things that then you're like, oh, Kyler, was that the best decision? Because what if she says no? And he's like, come to find out, then he's got another, a lead to another
Yeah,
process. No.
we'll have
Um,
champagne at least.
but it was just right. Yeah. So it's just paying attention, right? And it's
Hmm.
listening and, really making it personal.
Right. People
Not
first
only,
approach.
exactly.
I think we think of commercial real estate and we think about modeling and systems and numbers and cap
Mhm.
rates, and sometimes you can get bogged down and lose sight of the fact that it's a people business.
Right.
And those who are the most successful understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we try to do that on the development side too, which is also unique. Um, we've taken a different approach to development, where we're not trying to do all things for everyone.
Okay.
We're very focused on, we like downtowns. We feel like you have to have a strong downtown to be heart of any community, and that
Hmm.
doesn't matter if it's Caldwell, Nampa, Eagle, Boise,
Right.
Idaho Falls. If you can create a good core, then you can have a good surrounding area and suburb. But we really focus in on downtown development. We
Okay.
like things that are a little hairy.
Hmm.
If it's easy, we generally don't chase it down. There's a lot
Okay.
of other groups that do that very well,
Okay.
and so we like ones that are a little unique. We like to be first in, which One Capital Center, when that was built in the early '70s, was the first high rise in downtown in the redevelopment agency district at the time. And then, we did the same thing in Caldwell with the building for the city, which
Mm.
they leased to TVCC, which is now, I think, back to the city. Idaho Falls, same thing. We were the first new development in downtown Idaho Falls in over 20 years,
Wow.
and brought everybody kind of from the Snake River
Hmm.
landing area back into downtown. And, not because of us, but
In
in
part.
addition
Yeah.
to us, it really has
Yeah.
kind of evolved their downtown into a real special place now, which is fun. And our multifamily project, the Arthur,
Hmm.
that'll be the first of its kind in Boise. Everything else is podium build or 5/2 stick frame. Ours is 26 stories, and so it'll definitely be a game changer in the environment from a product
The
standpoint.
tallest building downtown with a livable, functional floor up top, or the tallest building
I think
with that?
I think we could say maybe the tallest building in the state
Okay.
that'll be occupied. There's some question about the air traffic controller tower,
Yeah.
how
Hmm.
tall that is,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I guess I didn't think about that till now.
Yeah. Where people are
But
living,
where
though.
people are
It's
living,
the houses.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
so this building was named after the patriarch Oppenheimer,
It
then,
was,
right?
yeah, it was, and it was something that our partners actually out of Cleveland um, presented up front. And
Hmm.
Skip and Doug are, hopefully, as you guys know, pretty
Yeah.
humble
Very
in
humble.
their approach. And Skip, whose first name really is Arthur, he's Arthur F. Skip Oppenheimer. And so Skip was like, no, it just
I want
feels
my
very
name on it.
self-serving. It doesn't feel right. And, they're saying, no, it's for your father and, what he did for the business and starting the
Right.
company and various parts. And they were just, no, no, no. So we went through this big brainstorming exercise and brought a consultant in from out of town that we probably paid a little too much. And we went through probably 250 names.
Oh,
And
man.
it's like, how do you feel? What's this make you, we did the candy bar game or
Right.
pick something that you think, and all these things that we got done. And we're having a very nice dinner at the end of it. And we had no decision of what name because we couldn't internally agree on what we wanted to do. And Zach Ponsky, who's our partner, just came and he, kind of did the old fist on the table and said, "Listen, we're going to call this the Arthur. It's the best name for it. It's the best thing for the community, and we're not going to argue about it. This is what we're going to call it." And Skip's still like, "I'm not certain," and Doug's like, "You know what? I think going through what we did today,
Shows that.
yeah, I think it's a good, good tribute
Mhm.
to their father." So,
That's really
yeah,
meaningful.
so,
Was there
yeah.
any just terrible names that you remember?
Um, a variety of names. How's that? Yeah, yeah,
There's probably some that are so bad.
yeah, yeah.
I've just seen so many like kids' names recently that I'm aghast by. So I'm sure building names is probably right up that alley.
Yeah, and it's so hard, right? Because you're trying to define what this is going to be, and so we spent, then the next half day kind of going through what does Arthur mean? What's
Yeah.
it make you feel? Is it the Dudley Moore movie? Is it the, you know, what's art, right? Can you
Right.
then is it artistic? Is it all
Yeah.
these different
Yeah.
things and feelings and and at the end of the day, I think we all had to take a step back and say, Taylor, you really don't care where you live, what it's called, right? You're there about the quality of the building, the
Right.
location, the price point,
Exactly.
the amenities,
Yep.
all of these things. The names really probably, towards the bottom of a top 10, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
can,
Right.
so we realized that we were taking ourselves too serious at the time and like, let's just get, over the hump with something and
It's a
go
good
forward.
reminder.
So
Yeah.
you said you like deals with a little bit of hair on them that are challenging. If you had to define the hair on the Arthur, other than picking a name, what do you what do you think it would be?
It was strange, right? We started this, a few years back, and you're kind of going through the process, and um, the lending environment quickly changed. We had two problems, right? The lending environment was changing drastically with rates going up and cash, being a little bit less easily to find, and then construction costs. And our partners, when they originally came to Boise, and we started talking about options and opportunities, they're like, "This is going to be great because it's going to be cheaper to build in Boise. It's going to be just a real easy path, right? You think
Right.
of entitlements are easy, which they are, thankfully. The
Yeah.
city's done a very good job
Mhm.
of improving that." But then when we're starting to get our first costs, and we're thinking that, oh, this is going to be a an $80 million build, and then all of a sudden it comes into like our first budget was significantly higher, like over half again as much. And we're like,
Yeah.
what just happened?
Right.
How is that?
Wow.
Yeah.
And
How did
so,
that happen so quickly, right?
well, and I think it's a bit of difference, right? I think Boise in the past traditionally has been really good at horizontal build.
Mm-hmm.
We've got so much land. It's just, and it's easy just to go broad,
Right.
right? You kind of
Yeah,
look at
much
the,
easier.
not that it's less expensive, it's just a little bit easier, right?
Mhm.
Everything's, you're not worried about height
Multiple
and
Space,
coordination
right?
and
yeah, exactly. And you've
Yeah.
got space around, right, for
Mhm.
staging and everything that you need. So as we're kind of going through it, our costs were too high. Quickly the banking environment was changing. So we started out, I think we had 16 different lenders that submitted letters of interest that they'd like to be a part of this from a construction financing. Like, this is great.
Mhm.
Okay, now we just have to work to get our pricing down to where the model fits.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, as the pricing was coming down, we're still not there yet, but then banks are dropping out
Yeah, there's a
because
negative
of just
correlation, right?
the
Mhm.
environment, right? So
Right.
that axis is going to
Yeah.
come to a point where then we finally got, a little bit close to the end. And it's like my high school dating career. I looked around and there's
Yeah.
only one girl left. And you're like, oh, wow. And I've already told you I didn't know if you're cute enough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now that you have your braces off, hey, let's
Yeah.
talk. No, that was
You're
really,
the only
yeah,
one
you can
here.
edit
You're
that
the only
out.
one here at the
But
dance. Like, let's dance.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were great, right? They stuck in there with us, and we we're able to structure a deal, and so that was, I guess, up front the hardest part. Um, Surprisingly, I really anticipated a lot more pushback on the height.
Okay.
You say 26
Right.
stories,
Well,
and
and
it's a
when you think
different
of the size
26
of that
stories,
lot too,
and it's a
when you
relatively
used to
small
drive
lot.
around, right? I
Yeah,
Hmm.
remember driving by the record exchange multiple times. And then when I heard that, I was like, on that lot?
yeah,
Like, how is that possible?
yeah. And so we've been fortunate that the city was great to work with. The neighbors have been good considering, right? Construction's hard, and
Right. Right.
my good dear friend Scott Shaner has a building directly north, and so he was a little upset because we took some of his sun, and they said, yeah,
Right.
but just think of all the money you're saving now in the
That's
summertime.
right. You don't
Yeah,
have to
you don't have
cool
the
it as
solar
much.
gain. Yeah, we got this blocked for you. Um,
It's great people watching entertainment for his tenants too.
it's funny between that building and the Idaho Power building, you can
Hmm.
tell on certain days where, um, yeah, Deborah from Idaho Power called one day and said, "Hey, you got to figure out some other time to do this because I'm afraid our building's going to tip over because our entire staff is everybody's up against the
Oh,
windows
looking at it.
watching construction, right? Because it's
I'm
fun, it's
sure.
different, and so it's been a great project to work on, and we've been blessed with a really good contractor out of Chicago that I think is doing a really good job of working with our local sub community,
Hmm.
and kind of bringing them up a little bit in their methods,
Yeah.
and its efficiencies, right? As we talk,
Interesting.
if we can do this a little bit quicker, it saves so much money on the end, and really holding the sub market and themselves accountable for the schedule. And
Yeah, I didn't
it's
think about how such a high quality project could come in and help elevate the environment when it comes to building,
yeah.
because it would have to, right? When you
Well, we
think of
just don't
something.
get enough opportunities, right, to do
Mhm.
big
A building
vertical.
like
Yeah,
this.
we
That's right.
do one every 5 years in Boise. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
so, and the subs kind of come in and they figure it out, right? And the general's always there, right, trying to help figure it
Mhm.
out. But
But when you have someone that's done this before multiple times and they have systems in place and
yeah, yeah. And they were, and for good or bad, right, the design build part of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the MEP trades, the design side is scary if you haven't designed this.
yes.
And so then what Power had done is they decided, well, let's go back to our MEP trades in the Chicago market. Let's have them do the design, partner with a local.
Okay.
So the design's done, and now they get to work on the installation piece and what's that going to be. And so it's been a nice balance of being able to bring in some experts in from another market that are accustomed to doing big vertical construction.
Right.
Did they have a hard time with the labor pool with Meta and with the Micron jobs and
One
some of
of
the other large projects we have? Obviously, we have Alliance's multifamily project going up right now. And
yeah, when we elected to go forward, we still weren't completely there on our costs when we had to pull the trigger to get this to go, but we kind of all collectively agreed that we're going to thread the needle and
Mm.
we're going to hopefully get it in on the construction cost side would come down a little bit, the financing side will be fixed, we know kind of where we're at,
Mhm.
and we can jump in a little bit ahead of the Micron more so
Yeah.
than Meta, right? We knew
Right.
Meta was already kind of moving and going, and that's such a big heavy electrical and mechanical when it gets to
Yeah.
that point need. um, we were kind of hoping that we could sneak in,
Yeah.
right? I hate to
Right.
use the
Yeah.
term sneak in, but it was that a little bit. And so we were able to kind of get going on that. And we haven't seen a huge impact, a little bit on mostly electrical side right now, but, our subcontractors have been doing great. Keeping people there, tried to get actually a little ahead
Mm.
on their schedule to make sure that if there was
Got a
an
cushion.
issue later,
Yeah.
they'd be able to do it. So overall, we've been, knock on wood, but pretty fortunate that we're keeping on schedule.
Have there been any lead building materials or products that you've been waiting on or that have impacted the schedule of the construction?
So really, it's a great question. The transformers,
Hmm.
the electrical
Still an issue.
switchgear is
We've heard a
still
lot
an
about
issue.
that with our podcast guests. Yep.
Yeah, and we kind of thought that we'd be beyond that, and there was a big enough lead time, right?
Hmm.
Where obviously you're still doing all your earthwork and then your vertical before you really get to that. But we made the determination as an ownership group that we were going to pay a little extra to expedite this,
Mm.
which I didn't know what that why isn't everybody doing this? And more importantly, if you can do it, then just deliver it sooner, right?
Right.
I mean, I feel like now we're being held a little hostage. I
Hmm.
mean, in the
Hmm.
environment. And I now know what the term slow boat to China
Okay.
means, or from China, I guess in this
Yeah.
case.
They're
Uh,
literal boats that are.
Literal boats that are just carrying stuff over, right? And so we made the investment to kind of escalate that by about 4 months.
Okay.
And they met the schedule, and so
Amazing.
that was our kind of really the only big challenge per se.
Okay.
Everything else has been pretty readily available. And again, having such a long duration, right? It's a 30-month time
Yep. So
frame to do this.
get things
We're a
ordered.
little ahead of the
That's a great
curve.
point. That's good.
Yeah.
So when is the anticipated delivery date?
We hope that we're kind of basically done by the end of the year. It'll carry over into early 25, and now we're just trying to figure out when we'll be able to get occupancy and when it's going to be comfortable for tenants to move in. One of the challenges is, we could gain occupancy earlier on some of the lower floors because we're, doing our punch list walks on, I think we've got 5 floors already done. We'll do 2 more this
Sweet.
week. So if you can get your fire life safety in,
Mm-hmm.
but you work your way from the bottom up. And so the top 2 floors of our project is where all the amenities are.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a pool deck on 25, a hot tub on 26, golf simulator on the 25th
Whoa.
floor, billiards room, listening room, a lot of co-working space, outdoor grills, outdoor yoga, and fitness, a big fitness center.
That's fantastic.
And
Lots of
so
places
with
to
all
get
those,
really good selfies.
right, yeah, with all those amenities on the top 2 floors, I think we really want to make sure that we can deliver those for the tenants.
In conjunction with when you bring on the initial tenants, or as
Exactly.
close to it as you can.
Right, Taylor, because if you could bring somebody in early, but then why are they in early, right?
Mhm.
You're going to live here hopefully because of the amenities,
Right.
and hopefully the quality of construction. We're doing a couple of little add-on things to the units that aren't traditional in the market today,
Yeah.
which hopefully we're kind of elevating that level of sophistication in the units as well.
Are you selling any condos, or is it
No,
all
All going to be multifamily apartments.
leased?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're, yeah, as we kind of build this out and we get a little bit towards the top, I'm like, shucks, I wish I would have, fought a little bit harder for one floor because I would love to live
that's
up
right.
here.
Wouldn't that be
But
amazing?
yeah, so we'll have to save that for our next project.
Next project.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess another good question. You've had to oversee this project from the start, the very beginning. I remember meeting in your office when it was just kind of the foundation was getting poured. What have you learned now about yourself going through this? Because this has been a pretty substantial undertaking, right?
Yeah, I've learned that I should become an electrician. This developer role is way too
Yeah.
hard.
Is it like stress you take home? Do you worry about the project? Do you worry about the guys? Have you built relationships with guys? Have you learned
Yeah,
that you like to oversee this kind of project, this kind of management?
yeah, it's a variety of learns, right? Because this is my first project being, this tall, obviously,
Mhm.
right? We've
Yeah.
got some low-rise stuff, and it's been interesting. I'd say that we've got such a good contractor that making sure you trust the people you're working with has allowed me to sleep a lot better at night and not worry about the construction side of it. Right, I still worry about who's going to move into these. Right,
Yeah.
we've got
Yep.
298 units that.
Yep.
And we're pushing the market, right? They're going to be luxury high-end units that we don't have in this market.
Right.
And so, as we kind of looked, as threading that needle term again, right? You kind of look at where the economy is, and there was a lot of discussions about, are we, headed for a recession? Are we in a recession?
Mhm.
Are we soft landing? Where are we at economically? Still, at the end of the day, I'm like, this is a whole different product type, which
Right.
some people will race towards,
Mhm.
and then other people, maybe won't, right? If the value shopper,
Yeah.
may still go to the Alliance project, 2 blocks away, that's brand new construction, a little bit different amenity package,
Yeah.
but still a nice product because it'll be brand new.
Mhm.
And so, those items kept me up more than the construction side of it,
Right.
just because like I said, we've got a lot of confidence in the general contractor that our partners kind of insisted we used.
So if people want to learn more about the product and the opportunity to live there, where would they go?
So you can go to livearthur.com, reach out to me, and
Yeah.
happy to get you information as well. Or if you just type in Arthur Boise, I think that'll also feed you to a link.
Is there pre-leasing going on?
We're taking just kind of interest lists right now. You'll get the little blasts as
Mhm.
progress comes, and then we'll probably start leasing in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
We want to make sure we're going to be able to deliver. There was an unfortunate project over by Boise State that didn't quite get done on time that left a lot of students
Hmm.
Yeah, in a pickle.
in a pickle, right?
Mhm.
And so we want to make sure that we understand, when we're going to be able to deliver this
And then hold to it.
and hold to it, right? So we want to make sure that we're getting a little bit further along, and it allows us to gauge kind of what's going on in the environment too, right? We want to make sure that as we launch, we're conscious to the community of what's going on in other downtown properties, and kind of what are rates and vacancy rates, et cetera. So it's all kind of coming together right now, but I guess probably early fourth quarter we'll be
It's
getting a little
exciting.
bit closer.
Hopefully some ULI and BOMA tours of the space in the future.
Imagine, yeah, we'll have some community tours as well.
Good.
So, but yeah, if you're definitely a part of one of those organizations,
Look forward to
you'll have an
seeing.
in.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the next 5 years looks like for you?
Um,
I'm assuming you're going to stay where you're at.
I unless Skip or Doug have different plans for me, my
Yeah.
intentions are to stay here. Yeah, I'm actually 2 years away from getting off probation. So they say the first 35 years are the hardest.
That's
Um,
good.
we're working on. We just finished up the Sparrow Hotel, which is where the old Safari Inn was downtown, as well. And so that's been a fun project to work on. A little bit more frustrating because it's a remodel
Oh yeah, you're done with
and
existing.
yeah, existing. And
That's been an incredible turnaround for that building too. It looked
yeah,
like there was not going to be anything salvageable on it, and it's wow,
yeah,
there it is
we
now.
literally ended up down to the studs on a lot more of that than we
Mhm.
anticipated. But it's going to be just a fantastic delivery, and that'll open up the beginning of July. Actually, we've got reservations already set. So
That's part of a multi-hotel series, right? Like the operator has multiple bird names that he's named the
yeah,
hotels
yeah.
afterwards.
So this will be the fourth one. There's one up in Bozeman called the Lark,
Okay.
one over in Walla Walla called the Finch, and one in Missoula called the Wren.
Okay.
So this will be the Sparrow.
What's kind of the vibe for this one?
Similar to the others. So if you've been to those markets and stayed in one, it's a very um, modern but simple room design.
Mhm.
The intention when you stay here, it's not the comfort hotel. They don't want you to be in your room, right? They want you to be out exploring. You get a little passport book when you check in, right? And
Mhm.
if you want to go have a craft cocktail, go to our friends at Atlas, which is across the alley, right? Or go over to White Tavern, or go to Chandler's, or kind of get out in the community, explore.
That's cool.
And so we're excited about that. It'll be interesting, though, to your point, right, with the other hotels nearby, with
Yeah.
the Renegade just opening up,
Yep.
which is a beautiful property.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different model than I think what
Mhm.
I'm going after. That's a little bit more luxury room,
Yeah.
and ours is a little bit more simple. And then with Jared's the Marriott projects going on directly south,
Mhm.
that'd be exciting. See that come out of the ground. It's
Yeah.
so that area will really kind of turn into a hospitality corridor.
We're definitely in like a boom, right, in the downtown core with, I mean, the two projects we've mentioned for multifamily now, over 500 units, and then all the hotel rooms that we've just brought up. You've been in Boise for a long time, as you stated. What do you see the downtown core looking like in 10 years?
Um, I think probably more multifamily. I still, even though personally, I'm nervous about who's going to move into our building.
Mhm.
I look at the number of rooms that we're still short in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like downtown is such a great, vibrant location that people want to be in downtown.
The city's looking for multifamily projects too, right?
Right.
Prioritizing those still.
Absolutely, yeah. I would think that our retail hopefully transforms a little bit more into true retail and not restaurants.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We've been so fortunate to have great restaurants in our downtown core for so long, but we really, don't have a good little place to go buy a dress shirt, right? If I spill coffee on my shirt in the morning, I can't
Yeah.
just walk down to a store and pick up a shirt.
It's true.
So hopefully that retail aspect kind of follows a little bit now that we've got enough residents downtown that
Right.
they'll need a
Yep.
place to shop. A little uncertain about the office market, right? Boise's still a great place to work and live and play, as we know, and um, you know, the future of office is still uncertain, right?
Mhm.
I think that's been seen in a lot of big metro areas, and Boise's been a little insulated because we generally are, which is a good thing.
One of the reasons is because we aren't overbuilt in
We're not
office in the
overbuilt,
downtown core
right?
anyhow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I think so it'll be, to me, just interesting to watch. I don't know what the answer is, but where kind of the office market goes, right? Normally you've got, you know, the 11th and Idaho building. Once that was complete, you've got somebody else dabbling about, okay, what's the next office building and where it's going to be, and that really stayed quiet for a while.
Right.
And
Right.
now I think
Now BVA's bringing theirs out on
BVA
Fourth.
with they'll have some space in there,
Yeah.
I think, for lease or for sale, I think is what I've understood. So that'll be interesting to see how that works
On the
in
other side
place.
of downtown, yeah, I wonder, it's already spreading west, right? We're with the college campus with the
CWI.
coming in, CWI coming in, and then the multi mixed use development that's going on the parcel next door.
Yep.
And so I wonder how much of it will go east towards the BVA project, and how much of that
I feel like we're
some of those
probably
little assemblages will take place in some of those little rural, one of those interior urban neighborhoods.
Yeah, I think west will be the next direction, obviously, because there's not a lot of room to the east.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think they did the Broad Street corridor, which turned out fun and
Mhm.
active. So I do feel like kind of west is the next logical choice, right? And then how it infills from kind of maybe where you consider Idaho Power is the western end of downtown now, how it does fill into the CWI campus and all that in between, because there's some,
Sure.
obviously prime lots there.
And then just touching the Garden City, and then
and that growth there.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the way to the
So
boardwalk.
it's we're still very bullish on Boise, right? I feel like even, if there's continued economic challenges and interest rate environment or construction environment or whatever, people want to be here.
That's right.
And we're so fortunate that, we're here, I think. And
There's a lot of transacting still taking place.
Yeah.
Every day, right? There's deals closing regularly here. So
Yeah, it's a bright future for Boise. I think Drey and I both agree on that. Are happy to be having our careers here. What about advice for someone that's new into commercial real estate? As you look back on your career and the lessons you've learned, what would you tell somebody who's listening to this podcast, trying to learn more and grow and get involved in commercial real estate as a career?
Yeah, I'd say go to CWI's electrical training.
yeah,
There is some reality to that, right? We
Mhm.
are going to be lacking trades
100%.
just due to the age of some, various trademarks. I think it is, understanding there's no secret sauce to this, what we do, right? It's all about people. It's about being compassionate, doing the right thing. And I think it's being willing to, maybe take a step back sometimes as you're looking at development projects. And, we're big believers in quality design. Doesn't have to cost a lot more. And, I think Boise's done a good job recently in trying to raise our design standards. But I think it's a matter of two is looking to what's going to be impactful for our community, not tomorrow, but a decade from now, 50 years from now, something that we're proud of, right? That we can still call our home. And I think there was a great time for the Grove Hotel to be built, and some of those other brown boxes that we've lived with. But I think we're beyond that. So I think from a somebody who's interested in getting in the business. I think understanding the means and methods via architecture and construction management is going to be critical to go forward. But then I think it's also making sure that you partner with really good design professionals on the architectural side and contractors to really make sure you're looking at a project holistically before you get started. We've had very good success in that, in bringing a whole team approach together at the very early stages, not getting it designed and then going out to bid,
Wow.
then having to
Yeah.
change the design based on the bid, and kind of having that all work together.
Much
has
more
been,
collaborative with all the partners.
yeah, because the contractors are the ones that know at the end of the day if they can really build it or not, right? So that architects are fabulous, right? They're creative minds, and they're like, oh, hey, I read this in I heard it on a podcast, right? I'm going to use this product, and then you get in there, and you're like, oh, but you can't build it because the cost is too high. So having the contractor in the room early also kind of helps, in that keep everybody's goals and objectives aligned.
That's great advice.
But I think it's also listening to the community, right, and what the need is, and you know and the people. I go back to this is a people business. Every business is, it should be, and kind of understanding the client.
Well, you're exceptional with people. Obviously, you're on multiple boards. You're at every event that I feel like I go to that has importance, and you have a lot of friends in the community that know you, and you're always walking with someone with a smile on your face downtown. So
Oh, thanks.
they're lucky to have you, and we're lucky to have you on our podcast today.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks, guys.